Okay, here are the main employment opportunities ashore. I mean, what are the main jobs that are available? Okay, chartering executives or brokers. These are the market-facing personnel, the guys on a day-to-day basis who are involved in the fixing of ship. We call uh, getting employment for a ship or finalizing employment for a ship or the process of gaining employment for a ship. We call it fixing of a ship. So people involved or the personnel involved in fixing of ships, essentially the frontline guys are the chartering executives or brokers. They are market-facing personnel in owners and charterers' offices. They interact with brokers and are involved in day-to-day chartering activities or day-to-day fixing activities, talking to the market, looking for cargoes, pushing the ship's positions. They sometimes a lot of people in some European shops especially they also call it brokers. In the charterers and owners office they are referred to as brokers. So brokers in chartering offices talking to brokers in broking shops, and sometimes talking to each other directly. Charterers or charterers broker. Employees of charters or brokers of charters and brokers of owners talking to each other directly, but they are the market-facing people, the ringside view of the market, and they are the participants. Then you have operations executives. They are personnel who assist the chartering executives, like the chartering executives and owners and charterers' offices, in providing information and liaising with the ship while negotiating a contract. Like when you're negotiating a contract for a ship, a lot of stuff comes up, like what are the approvals of the ship? I'm talking from a tanker perspective. What are the dimensions? Is the ship suitable for this berth? Can she load this cargo? Does her cargo equipment have this certification or this capacity or whatever? So it's the operations people who assist in that. Then once the ship is finally fixed, the contract is finalized, then the operations executives are responsible for monitoring and coordinating the execution of the voyage. The operations is a whole department. When I talk about operations executives, of course, there's a hierarchy. You have an operations manager, a fleet operations manager, and everything. But that is the department that is responsible for monitoring the execution of the voyage, making sure everything is going as per the charter party agreement. The contract between a ship owner and a charterer, or a ship owner and a charterer, is called a charter party. It's an ancient term. Again, you guys can look up Google and find out why, but it has something to do with royalty, the monarchy in England and stuff like that. So, of course, that's again like a separate presentation on a separate subject altogether. Then you have people. Then the third major category of personnel in a commercial shipping segment are claims executives. Now, remember the freight or the ship is fixed for a particular voyage and for a particular freight, and once the freight is paid, then there are several other revenues or several other payments, several other reimbursements, so to say, as per the charter party that need to be collected by the ship owner. And that aspect is followed up by claims executives, and that is demurrages, it could be war risk premiums, it could be port costs, it could be anything. But that's generally claims executives follow it up, and the claims executives, the life of a claim is far outlives the length of the voyage. The length of the voyage may just last maybe 20 days, 25 days, 30 days, but claims could last several months and in many cases several years as well. So a claims executive has to follow all that up. It's not as exciting and as with it like a chartering job or even operation jobs are fairly exciting because they're dealing real time with the execution of the voyage. But claims are very important because they make a big difference to the earnings of a ship. Because remember, when the chartering executive fixes a ship, he also incorporates revenue in terms of the claims that the charter will have to pay back to the ship owner after the voyage is complete. So the claims executive basically completes the loop and makes sure the entire earnings from a particular voyage are collected as far as the owner is concerned. Now, every entity in the industry, including broking houses. Now, when I said charterers and owners, okay, I started off mainly with that. But broking houses, like our company as well, we also have these executives. We have a claims executive, we have operations executive, we have chartering executives and brokers. So, broking houses also have these positions that are manned to carry out day-to-day business. Next slide, please. Okay. So, what do we require as an employer? What am I looking for, or what are my counterparts in a broking house or a chartering entity or a ship owning entity? What are we looking for when we are hiring a person? Now, a chartering executive or a broker, he can literally come from any from any background, literally a trading background. He could be a salesman in an insurance company. He basically what we're looking for in a chartering executive or a broker is the ability to sell, because you're selling a service. It's not necessary for a broker or for a ship owner or a charter to use your service. So it's very important for a chartering executive or a broker to be able to uh, sell the service that he is going to provide. So a sales oriented personality is extremely important. Now, supporting a sales oriented personality, and I think that is the most important thing that anybody looks for in hiring a chartering executive or a broker. But basically, what we would require, or I would require from a chartering executive or a broker, is an analytical mind, being able to think out of the box, being able to put together a host of myriad circumstances, come to and how those are affecting your market. Because especially nowadays, it's very easy. If you just look out the window, and you see there are so many extraneous factors to shipping that are impacting the shipping markets, like what the Houthis, the kind of chaos the Houthis are creating in the Red Sea. And that's typical of a geopolitical event, which brokers have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and the Ukraine war in the Black Sea. So these kind of things are very important to incorporate in a market view. We need a broker, a chartering executive to have an outgoing personality. He should like people, like talking to people, be engaging. People should like talking to him. You should have social skills. Yes, partying and socializing is a big aspect of this job. A determination to succeed is very, because a highly competitive job. You'd probably just if you convert 10% of the opportunities that are presented to you, you're actually doing a very good job. You should have an ability to build a network within the market, certain amount of the people who like you, or people who talk to you, people whom you engage with on a regular basis and engage information, people who give you business. The ability to source market information, very important. Chartering market is a very dynamic market. Things are happening all the time, 24/7. It doesn't happen on weekends, thank God. But weekdays, yes, it's happening all the time. It's very important to keep. Abreast of what's happening in the market. Your negotiating skills have to be excellent. I mean, if you're not a good negotiator, there's no place for you as a chartering executive or broker. You should be able to bridge the gap that exists between, say, the buyer of the freight, and the seller of the freight. That's as a broker, but any chartering executive needs that skill. And of course, he should have a very good in-depth knowledge of the charter party, the various contracts that govern the carriage of goods, various charter party clauses. An operations person has for an operations person, I would typically look for a person with experience. Seagoing experience would be good. Excellent communication skills, because everything is done over the phone and email, and so we need people to be able to put their points of view across, and make and paint a very clear picture of what's happening. We need the operations person to have a very good working knowledge of the charter party contracts as well. For claims, we need a person with an organized mind, a very good, strong work ethic, which doesn't leave any cracks through which important aspects can fall through. A claims executive can cause a lot of loss to a company if they don't follow up in an organized manner. It's a very crucial function, I told you, because claims far outlive the duration of the voyage itself, and we need somebody focusing on the collection of dues when the voyage is over. Yeah. So next, please. Okay, how do we get into this business? This whole circus of the commercial shipping industry. An ideal entry point for a seafarer, and mainly I'm talking commercial. That's why it's deck officers who are more suited to commercial functions. There are a few engineers who are in the commercial world, but deck officers far outnumber engineers in this. The reason is because deck officers, we go through. You've done maritime law, you've done insurance, you've done charter parties, and so they're more oriented towards the commercial side of shipping. So an ideal entry point for a seafarer in the commercial world would be operations, not straight away into chartering, right? Chartering is a whole different animal altogether. So, but once you get into operations, then you work very, very closely with chartering. And the good operations people, most of the good operations people graduate into chartering. Most of them, I've seen. But then there are not so many. But they do. A lot of them all over you. You'll find a lot of names. I don't have to take names. Just look around you. Look in. They all would. A lot of them have entered doing an operations role and then have taken up chartering roles. A few years in operations imparts sufficient knowledge and skills to the right person to move into a chartering function in the organization, whether it's a broker, whether it's an owner or a charterer. The path is the same. You enter into operations job, you get into you get into the broking, you get into the chartering job. It happens, but like I say, if there are 10 chartering guys, you probably find one chartering guy who's good for broking, because any ship owner would want somebody who can who can add value to the revenue earning side. He will put him in there. Why not? Because otherwise he's a cost center. So let's make him a revenue generating center. It's just logic. So everybody looks for these kind of guys. Everybody. A very common point of entry for ex-seafarers is an operations job in a broking shop. That's the easiest, lowest level entry. But I find most ex-seafarers would prefer to get into either a charterer's office or an owner's office, because the organizations are much bigger, and they would probably find more job satisfaction on a short-term basis or on an immediate basis than they would in a broking house function. So fresh graduates may find opportunities with brokers or in graduate management programs with owners and charterers, but this business is not very kind to fresh graduates. They want experience at sea. If you want to come from a seafaring background and get into commercial function, say operations or claims or whatever it is, they probably want you to have some kind of seagoing experience in that. The second mates or third mates. That's not to say, but these fresh graduates, they find it easier to get jobs in broking houses like a Clarkson's or a Brema or an SSY, or even BRS for that matter. They do employ people, fresh, smart graduates from good colleges. Again, good personality, ability to sell, social skills and stuff like that. They take a few of these guys in, then put them in through, they put them into different verticals in broking shops. But seafarers stand the best chance of making a lateral entry into the commercial.